My name is Aaron McManus, and you are listening to the Battle Ready podcast. I am here joined by my father, Erwin Raphael McManus. How you doing today?
I'm doing so good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Austin St. John?
Doing good. Argentina won, so I'm happy.
Oof, spoiler alerts. If you haven't watched, then the World Cup's almost probably over. So you should. Our team, Argentina, 3-0. Beautiful game.
Yeah, I don't know if the world is cheering on Argentina, but I think the world is cheering on Messi.
I don't care what the world is doing. The world has one choice, and the choice is Messi.
Yeah, I was very happy. He was the entire difference. I mean, he was the instigator in all three of those goals. It was really beautiful. It was incredible to watch.
It was amazing. Argentina's playing incredible. Okay, so breaking news, or not so breaking news. We have a few things that have been going on in the world. We should talk about it, yeah?
Yeah, we've been waiting for at least a week to talk about Brittney Griner.
Let's talk about Brittney Griner. She's just been released from Russian prison, where she spent the last just under 10 months. And the U.S. trades her for Victor Bout, the Merchant of Death, a Russian arms dealer. Were you laughing at that? But it's pretty serious stuff.
If you look at it, one, we're so happy she's free. We're so happy she's home.
You're saying we.
Yeah, I think Americans as a whole are happy she's home, happy she's free. I think good people are happy she's home.
You can't say that the people who, okay, no. Okay, I think you gotta watch that language, because I don't think anyone's mad she's coming home. I think everyone's happy she's coming home. I think people are upset that we traded someone whose nickname was the Merchant of Death.
It seems an inequitable trade, that's for certain. I think a lot of people were hoping that Paul Whelan would finally be brought home, who's been held for several years there for espionage. And of course, I guess we deny that that's a legitimate verdict, but let's say it is legitimate. I don't think anyone's denying that Victor is a terrorist. And
no one's denying it. He's the Merchant of Death.
Right. So it does raise incredible political questions in terms of will Russia and other countries endanger American civilians? Because, Brittney is a civilian. I mean, she's a pro basketball player, but she's a civilian, and she wasn't there for any political, military, or subversive reason except to play basketball.
Right.
And, held with really dubious charges where she did not meet the criteria for the criminal arrest that she was found guilty for.
She was found guilty of having like 0.2 something grams of CBD liquid.
Yeah, it wasn't even a gram, right? But I think the technicality they used her on was transporting it. That you're not allowed to transport drugs of any amount, and because now you're in drug trafficking. But it was really just a pure political technicality to try to leverage her arrest to get what they wanted, and they did get what they wanted. And it does make us politically look anemic or powerless that they were able to get who they wanted released, who was clearly a criminal, and us not to be able to leverage in any way to get one of our own out who was risking their life for America's safety and well-being. So it's a challenge. And I do think we need to be really aware. Wow, don't go to Russia and do anything that could in any ways indict you or implicate you, and maybe even I wouldn't be surprised if they would set people up. Put things in people's suitcases. So I'm like, it's probably not the number one vacation spot right now.
No, it doesn't make sense. And I'm not one of those people who thinks that this is her fault. I think she had a moment where, she probably didn't even think of it. Probably wasn't even like a thought she had. It was probably just like, oh, I have a vape pen and this is, there's CBD in it. And it's not that big of a deal. It's not like she was, I think people treated her like she was carrying kilos of weed across the border. No, she was taking something that is legal in a lot of states in the United States, and is something that's very, very small, and I think much less harmful than a lot of things, but that's besides the point. you look at the political ramifications, and it seems like we got taken advantage of in this moment in time. And it makes, I think, our president look weak. It makes our country look weak. And, I've oftentimes kind of paralleled it with, the very classic cliche statement that Christians will use, what would Jesus do? And I think the reality is that I think this is the act. It's getting the person who deserves to be freed. And what?
There's no question we did a good thing.
We did a good thing.
Yeah.
We did a good thing. And I think we did a good thing for Americans. I don't know if we did a great thing for all Americans who were in jail in Russia. It doesn't seem like we should have traded the Merchant of Death for Brittney Griner, WNBA star. But I wanted to ask a couple questions about it. I mean, I'm sure you have thoughts, and I want to hear your thoughts. But I was driving. Actually, I wasn't driving because I haven't been driving. Well, I was driving. I was driving someone else's car. And I was thinking about just the reality of like the value of human life, and that lives, we believe we're created equal. We believe we're created in the image of God. We believe all of these things, but the reality is that not all life is equal. And in this moment, you look at it and you go, does it make sense to trade someone who is obviously at the hands of, whether he's funding it or providing it, he's providing death and destruction to people around the world, to terrorist groups, to countries who should not be getting, weapons. And we're trading that person for someone who's very civilized and peaceful. And does that make sense in a trade? Is that equal value? Are these human lives the same? Is it even wrong to think like that?
Yeah.
I find myself going like, that's not a healthy thought, right? By no means do I think Brittney Griner's life is less valuable than Merchant of Death.
Yeah, I actually think her life is more valuable because she's a better human being.
Yes. She has I think she has a daughter, and I think she's married or has a girlfriend, and she's
married.
She's human.
Yeah. I think that the question becomes, if you look at it from a more utilitarian perspective, you saved one life from imprisonment, but this may actually have caused an endless number of lives to be killed because of the nature of who that person is and his expertise. And that's always the difficult question. That's why being the person who makes those decisions is one of the hardest jobs in the world. Yeah, and frankly, if she didn't have popularity or gain popularity through the WNBA and their massive really activism on her behalf, I don't know if she would have ever been set free.
Yeah, I mean, you look back, and there was another another guy, a rapper, who was imprisoned, or I guess jailed, arrested in Stockholm during Trump's presidency, and he spent 2 weeks in prison, and then got him out.
Right, but he didn't trade for him.
No, he didn't trade for him. He called him. I think he called the minister of trade in Sweden and said, "We'll never trade with you ever again if you don't release A$AP Rocky."
Yeah,
like someone who would have little to no inherent value to his like immediate political, career, but he made sure an American got home. Do I like Trump? No, not really. But it does show you, I guess, the difference in strengths in this situation.
It also shows you it's helpful to be a celebrity. Because
it does.
If you have some level of celebrity, you can get political advantages and treatment, and that's true no matter what party is in place.
Right.
Because if it had been the Republican Party in place, I think they would have been just so much backlash to maybe unfair treatment of celebrity. But because it's the Democratic Party, I think that people aren't really looking at it through that filter. But the truth is that if it was me or you, Aaron, or Austin, we better learn how to speak Russian because we're going to be in that jail the rest of our life.
Call me Sergey. It's over for me. I'm gonna be in that Russian work prison. There's no way. There's no way I'm getting out of here.
Maybe what will come out of this is that now people know Paul Whelan's name. And I think most Americans were completely unaware of the fact that this man's been in prison there for several years.
Completely unaware.
And maybe this will raise awareness and hopefully will cause our government to be more proactive in his release. How do you work with Russia on any level when they're willing to manipulate political force this way. I just don't understand it. It's a really troubling situation. Anyway, I'm glad she's home. I'm glad she's free. And those are the realities of life. And anyone who thinks that decisions are made fairly or equitably or easily is just not being realistic about the way the world actually works.
Okay, so closing that out, happy Brittney Griner's home, happy for her family, the best wishes, praying that I imagine what she went through in that prison could not have been enjoyable. So, praying for their family and hopefully things get better.
Yep. Yeah, I'm glad that episode's over and wish everybody well. All right, let's keep going.
So me and you haven't been on the podcast one-on-one in a while.
What do you mean one-on-one?
We have this other person that just keeps stealing the spotlight,
So are you saying that Austin's not a person?
Austin never talks on the podcast. He's here and not here all at the same time. Talking about we're missing Brooke Odom today. Where is she on the East Coast with her family, Austin?
She is, yeah. They're
visiting family. We miss you, Brooke. We love you, Brooke.
We love her.
But it's good to hang out with you, Dad. It's good to have some time.
Yeah. I just, I love to hear the interactions between you and Brooke because I feel like sometimes you guys are coming from the opposite ends of the universe.
But I got a bone to pick with Brooke. We got some drama, Brooke. When you come back, it'll be like UFC.
All right. And Brooke, when we come back, we're going to talk about something called an image management score.
Yes, we will. But so my image management, my image management.
No, we're not going to talk about today. We're not going to talk about today. We're waiting for Brooke to come back.
But I want to know about me. It's about me.
Well, all right. Everyone listening to the Battle Ready, on a scale of 1 to 99, 99 being I really care about what people think about me, to a 1 being I care, but I'm not going to be what you need me to be. I'm just going to be who I am. You got to like me the way I am.
That was too complicated. Just give 2 options.
I need to be loved.
Or I don't care.
I've given up on you loving me.
Oh, I think it's my 3 is I don't care what anyone thinks. I only care about the 10 people I see on a regular basis think.
But you do care. I know you.
Oh, I care. No. The only thing I don't like is when people are in my personal business, personal life. I don't like my personal life to be public. I like that to be private. I like some things to be private because so much of the rest of our life is public. I enjoy some part of this to just be, hey, let me live my own life. No, but I don't feel like I do things for people to like me.
No, I think the thing about you, Aaron, is that you are who you are. And there's just nothing pretentious, nothing fake about you. And, people can know that when they've met you in every environment. And I like that about you.
I'm friendlier in other environments.
I think you're friendly when you feel safe.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, this is genuinely never. Okay. Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree. What's the rest of that?
I have no idea.
Isn't that an old song? Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree. What's the rest of that song?
I don't
know.
How
lovely are thy branches or something crazy?
How lovely are thy branches.
St. John.
Austin St. John. I got a Christmas tree. Did you get a Christmas tree, Austin?
No, we have one we put up every year. It's white. We're not very traditional.
Oh, you're a fake tree person.
Yes, we are.
Aaron, it's not a fake tree. It's a real Christmas tree. It's an artificial.
Oh no, it's very fake.
What do you mean?
It's white. It's not even green. It's actually white with lights on it.
I'm sending you a song.
So, Austin, is that a reflection of your soul?
I don't know. We've always had fake trees because I had really strong allergies growing up, so we could never do real trees because I was allergic to the real tree. And
you're allergic Crystal, to the planet Earth.
Yeah, honestly, yes. Grass, dust, pollen, everything.
All of it. That's so funny to me.
Oh man, I love Christmas trees. I would, if Kim would let me, I would create a forest of Christmas trees every year
Oh my gosh. I love Christmas trees. Oh, this is amazing. I love Christmas trees. It makes the whole house smell wonderful. You got to water it. It's alive. There's lights on it. It's beautiful. First thing I do when I get home, because it's getting dark early, I plug in the Christmas tree. I let that happen. I love it. It's so nice. It's so nice.
I love Christmas. What a wonderful holiday. And it's even a little cold here in LA. It is to me so amazing. And I know not everyone loves, the World Cup, but just to watch the World Cup in this season of the year, it's been really special. Yeah. And I've been amazed how many Americans have been following the World Cup.
So
a lot
many.
of my friends have been, even with the United States out. Like it's one of my friends who's Brazilian. The moment Brazil lost, the World Cup was over for him. He would talk about the World Cup every day, and then once Brazil lost, he stopped talking about it. And I mean, obviously, I love Argentina, but I love other teams. Like I just love watching teams play great, and so the World Cup just continues for me. And when Argentina won 3-0, I was just so excited. And we're filming this before France and Morocco play, and so we won't know how that has played out. But if it's a France-Argentina World Cup final, that will be, an epic World Cup.
It's happening at 7 a.m. on Sunday. Mm-hmm. How dare they? These are Catholics.
The World Cup finals?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I tried to move the Sunday gathering to later strategically, but
you did. But I think what we do is we just play it on the big screen until church starts.
Ooh. Yeah, that
sounds good to me.
Yeah, we just say that's a Christmas ornament. Is that soccer ball?
Because it'll be over before church starts. It'll be over at 9:30.
I'm just wondering how many people are shifting sports interests. When you talk about cultures changing, when I was younger, it was all football and baseball. That's all that really America talked about was football and baseball. Mm. And then really in the 80s, basketball started becoming more and more of a thing. 70s, 80s became more of a thing. And so then you had football and baseball and basketball, but it was like football and baseball major, basketball was minor.
Right.
And,
right.
And now you have soccer that's an emerging sport, and you have hockey that also has begun to affect the American cultural psyche. So I'm wondering, in 20 years, I'd love to do a survey on this. How many people think that in 20 years, basketball and soccer may be the more dominant sports over football and baseball? It'll be interesting to see how American culture changing will change what Americans actually are entertained by.
Okay, so I have a question. We've been doing a lot of consulting lately with different companies, different businesses, and different organizations, having conversations around leadership and teaming and how to lead and how to team. And it started with communication, this masterclass that we put out, Art of Communication. And I know we've talked about it a lot in this podcast. And there's a lot of people who listen to this podcast who've joined us on the Art of Communication, that journey. It's pretty amazing. It's a masterclass course that we have online, theartofcommunication.org. But we've really turned it into something unique, I think, that's really special. We've turned it into this McManus mastermind, this idea, of bringing businesses and leaders and leadership teams and sales teams and executive teams through this different personality and relationship training and communication training. But I was talking to some friends of mine. I'm going to keep it very vague because I want people to be able to feel like they can talk to me and not everything on the podcast. But friends who had a unique situation in the office, in their business, and how to move forward. And I was like, oh, you need to join us because we do this. This is what we're doing on the side. But I was going to ask you this. What are a few things that can make or break a team, whether it's a lead team, a sales team, an executive team, on how to relate at the highest level with each other? Because you mentioned image score. You mentioned, the way you see yourself. And I just spent the last week doing this consulting training with one of your friends. I thought it was wonderful. It was very intimidating. On the first day, I had a full-blown emotional breakdown because I was putting up one gigantic mirror. But I wanted to ask you, what are some quintessential things that you do to help lead your teams?
Yeah, the number one thing that comes to my mind is trust. Is that if you don't have trust, everything else just falls apart. and there has to be.
How do you build trust?
Well, first of all, I mean, it sounds like very straightforward. You have to be trustworthy, and trustworthy in a very concrete way. You have to be a person who makes promises and keeps them. You make promises to yourself, you keep them. You make promises to others, you keep them. You make organizational promises, you keep them. So when you're even casting vision, in a sense, is an inherent promise, and so you need to be able to distinguish between what you hope will happen and what you're committing to make happen. As a leader, if all you ever focus on is what you hope will happen or what you believe will happen or what you're trying to, quote, the language of manifest into happening, you're going to lose all the credibility in your organization. But if you focus on the things you commit you will do, the things that you will make happen, you may not have control over the outcomes, but you absolutely have control over the process that you are willing to step into and take ownership of. And I think trust is level one. And from trust come things like open lines of communication. I know a lot of organizations, and you've been a part of them in the past, Aaron, where they're very hierarchical. And so you only talk to your boss and you only talk to the right person in the system. And if you talk to anyone else, you're in trouble. And actually, healthier cultures are more dynamic. People talk to each other. They don't worry about hierarchical lines of authority or, am I supposed to talk to this person first or this person first? It's because it's not about gossip. It's about problem solving. It's about idea generating. And so when one person feels free to ask another person to help them generate a better idea, or one person is talking to someone else, even in a different department, saying, hey, I've got this problem I'm trying to solve. Do you have any thoughts on this? The more there's dynamic communication, the healthier the culture is going to be. If everyone has to talk to the boss before they talk to each other, the organization is static and it will die. If people feel there's an incredible freedom to be able to speak to each other, to dream, to ideate, and not worry about, okay, is this person my boss? Am I their boss? It's just about, I'm just going to find the best ideas. I'm going to find the best way to solve problems, best way to create better solutions and move forward. And so I think trust and communication are really like at the core of creating a healthy business culture.
So what happens when, maybe the trust is there, but you don't get along? How do you continue to work with people that frustrate you?
Yeah, I think that's more common than it is rare,
and because most situations, right?
Yeah, because when you're interviewing for a job, the whole group isn't interviewing you to see if they like you. It's one person interviewing you to see if you fit the qualifications for that role.
Right.
And we rarely even try to negotiate the idea that I need to be hiring people who have a great chemistry with the team. They usually think, okay, this person can do this job. They don't think, oh, this person can't work with these 5 people. Mm-hmm. And so I think that most people work from the reality of, I don't necessarily like everyone at work, or everyone doesn't like me. Mm-hmm. I think that what you have to do at first is be really good at your job. Competency builds trust.
Right.
And so someone may go, he just irritates me, or I just don't like, he just comes across cocky, or I don't know, he's not tall enough or short enough, whatever it is, right? But when you do your job well, like if you ignore all the criticism, ignore all the critiques, ignore all the, the tension that's there, and just do your job really, really well, the people who actually have integrity, you will earn trust with them. And because they'll see that you do your job well, you show up early, you stay late, you're excellent, you follow through. I mean, the best way to win other people is for you to follow through and keep your commitments and do your job really, really well. And then make sure that you're a team player, that you're not just doing your job where you win, you're doing your job in a way where everyone around you wins. And as you become a person who gives other people wins, it's amazing how people change their minds about each other. And
so you've worked with teams who have, I think, very successful leaders, people who are super engaged, some leaders that aren't as engaged on the day-to-day, some guys who've never had a staff meeting before, some people who meet all the time. What are some of the key things that you find, if people are going, how often is it, like how many meetings is too many meetings, and how few meetings are too few? Like, how do you build a company culture inside of an era where it feels like it's hard to hire people. It's hard to find new, good people in the right spaces. And then when I think there's a lot of turnover, there's a high turnover of people are leaving their jobs and they keep moving to new jobs. How do you find good people, and how do you keep them loyal, and how do you keep them engaged?
Yeah. It's an interesting tension. And this is a funny thing because, with you and Mariah working on my team, it's always a little tricky because you guys are around me all the time,
right.
Right. But I actually think in an ideal culture, utilitarian meetings last about 15 minutes. Like the meetings that you actually need for workflow should probably last about 15 minutes.
Right.
The longer meetings are for inspiration and culture building. And, and so it's like, if I want to have a long meeting, I invite everybody to come to the house. I cook, we eat, we enjoy our time together. And then we'll have like a small, time of building into the team. But if you're going to actually create momentum, you cannot meet your team to death. I've known some people, they just want to meet with their team 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, and they just want to process their teams. And they think they're building a team. They think they're doing great team building, and their team is dying. They're so terrified of answering the phone or responding to that text because they know there's going to be another meeting. And by the way, every hour your team is in a meeting with you is an hour they're not getting their job done. So you may be the biggest hindrance to your team being effective at their work.
Yeah.
And so I say, don't overmeet about utilitarian issues, like what you need to get done. Make that quick, fast, succinct, and only as long as the person on your team needs you to give them clarity. And then if you want to build a great culture, you got to build into your people.
Yeah.
You have to create joy, you create enjoyment, create happiness. I think, building a culture where people feel valued and seen and heard and are treated as humans, that expands the culture tremendously. Making a person who goes to work, they're going to work. And then when they're at work, all of a sudden they feel like they're seen more than they're seen anywhere else. They feel like they're valued more than anywhere else. They actually have fun, and they're able to laugh and play a little bit. They're going to want to come at work because it's the best social environment in their life.
Yeah.
And so I think there's an interesting tension there. Companies that try to extricate all the human out of company, just get the job done, they burn people out and they kill people.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I like that. Little nuggets.
Yeah. I always believed in an office-less society. And long before the pandemic. But when you're a technical expert, when you're editing or when you're working, with media or technology, you spend a lot of that time behind a desk in front, right behind a computer. So you have to find ways to pull those team people out from behind the computer so they can actually have human interaction. Or they're just going to be so focused on their job, they don't even realize that they're burning themselves out.
But one thing I find is that, like, if I come to the office, because I'll pop into Mosaic's office and work from there next to Austin or behind Austin or wherever, and I can't get anything done because everyone's hanging out. And I yelled at Carlos the other day. I was like, bro, what noise are you making that you need to be making? He's like, Poppy, I'm sorry. I make a lot of noise. Austin was there. I was like, do you guys deal with this every day? And he's like, yeah. He's like, they just make a lot of noise. And I'm like, no.
That was a quiet day.
And that was a quiet day. Like, I can't deal with this. No.
Yeah. You're talking about all the artists.
I am talking about all the artists, but I'm an artist too. But I'm an artist that likes to get things done.
Oh, let's throw a little shade here.
No, because it's funny because you have like the editing boys and the tech guys, and they all have their headphones on. They're locked in. They're not. Yeah. It's like you have to touch each other's. You have to like put your hand on a desk to get people's info, like to pay attention.
But you have to realize that we have people on our team who are both artists and musicians and high creatives. They don't create in a vacuum.
No.
If you put them in a room by themselves, they'll get nothing done except get depressed.
They'll go crazy.
And they actually, there's some things that are actually best created communally. They're best created while people are hanging out together and talking together. And the other day I was working with someone who has a contract with Simon & Schuster for a book, and they've not been successful. They've not been able to finish the book in a couple of years. And I said, first of all, you have to realize that when you sit behind, the desk, looking at your computer, staring at your screen, and not writing a word, that actually counts as writing. that the time you actually dedicate to be in your headspace, to think, to dream, to organize, to synthesize, to imagine, that's actually part of the writing process. And most writers aren't successful because they think the writing starts the moment they put down the first word. And the writing starts when you begin talking to yourself about the content. It's the same way with workflow with a team. And just because those people are making a lot of noise, it doesn't mean they're making a lot of progress. And,
but it's crazy because Carlos can write a song in like 3 hours.
Yes. But it comes out of all of this human interaction and human experience. He's making progress. You just can't see it. And,
I'm not bad mouthing Carlos. I love Carlos. He came up to me because I also heard me yell at him. I was like, "Hey, Poppy, less, turn it down."
Yeah, but even though you like,
he literally goes, "I'm sorry, you know me, I'm loud."
But even though you wear headphones, you still process best with other people.
No, it's very true. If I'm alone, I'm the same way. I lose all focus. I can't get anything that I need to get done. There are certain times I have to be like withdraw, but I like to know that there's a room full of people that I can go and access if I need to. Like I walked into the office today and there was a bunch of guys watching World Cup. Then I'm like, this has nothing to do with my job, but I'm going to watch the World Cup and then go and work.
And Austin may have been in the back house with me as we were working on the 7 frequencies and picking up a little World Cup along the way too.
So, but how important is that? Because, for me, like I had a friend ask me like, or say that, like express, like, like they love their company. They love what they do. I think they act like an owner of what they do. And even though they don't own it, and they're like, our office culture is bad. We don't have anyone who's driving it. We have everyone who's driving it creatively. Everyone's creative. Everyone's driving it creatively. But no one's driving it on the day-to-day, like a general manager or like a operations person. And I was like, be that. And they were like, no, I don't want to be that. And then I gave them some of the tips that we'll use about, how to have meetings or, start a meeting Monday morning, 15 minutes, let it be 80% function and 20% coffee and donuts and ketchup. And then everyone just jump right into what they're doing for the day. And then Friday, last thing you do before you leave is just like a 15-minute, clean up, sit down, what's going on. Okay. Everybody's out. And those little like touch points of engagement and human interaction make people feel like they're just normal and human and can bring and feel like they have like a resource where they can bring something to the table. Right.
Yeah. In fact, yesterday I was talking to 2 of our team members, and one of them was your sister, Mariah. And I said, I'd love for you to be the director of fun.
But me and Mariah don't work together.
What?
We don't work together, me and Mariah. I think clarification. I don't work with Mariah.
Oh, I just meant on the broader team,
Yeah. You mean like the family?
Yeah. You both would work with me.
I both work with you separately. Yeah.
But I said, hey, what we need like a minister of fun, like you have the minister of finances, minister of education.
Yeah.
We need a minister of fun, someone who makes sure that our staff at least once every 2 weeks does something fun together, that our teams are doing something enjoyable, human, playful. Yeah. And so that we, in a sense, don't forget that these people were really valuable before we brought them on the team. And we need to still see them as valuable once they're on the team.
Yeah.
Before we brought Austin on, you kept telling me, Dad, there's this kid named Austin. He's awesome. You need to really meet him. You need to really think about bringing him on the team. And you were selling Austin to me all the time.
Yeah, because I'm smart. I know how to get what I want. I'm smart. I wanted someone to do video. I knew you needed a video guy. I sell. When people ask for things, I'm like, you're so stupid. When people ask for things, I need this. Yeah, well, you should have been selling it for like the last 3 weeks. I'm like, I know how to sell. I drop little thing. Oh man, who did this video? Austin did it. Who did Austin did it? Who's this?
Right, but one of the things I will note is that if you're a volunteer,
no, most companies don't have volunteers.
That's true. And I would say that because when we work in church life, a person is a volunteer, they're super valuable. The moment they come on staff, we go, okay, now you're on staff, you're on your own, get the job done. And
that's not normal. Most places it's like, this is your job.
Yeah.
You're like, well, go find something to do. I pay you now. Just go enjoy. Go find something. Let me know how it goes.
I think in a company though, when you hire someone, you should actually receive that as a gift. It's not just, oh, I'm paying them and so they need to do their job. To me, it's like, yeah, you're paying them and they need to do their job, but they could do it somewhere else. And they don't have to bring all their passion and energy. That's something that only comes out of love. If you hire people and then just expect them to work out of obligation, you're basically saying, I want the bottom 79% of you. If you hire someone and you make that person feel appreciated and loved, and there's an environment of passion and compassion, and then you're getting the other 21% of them that's extraordinary. And I want an environment where I get everyone's volunteer time. I get their creative juices. I get what's generated out of their love and passion.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Huh. Okay. I have one more question. Let's just air out our dirty laundry right now. So I am someone who is inherently, I think, I read The Artist and Soul. You are the artist and soul guy. You're the guy who believes that everyone is creative. I was very cynical. I said, I'm not creative. And you're like, no, you very much are creative. And now every personality test, every data analytics thing that I've ever taken is like, I'm so creative and functionally creative that I'm almost worthless in the other side. Chris Duran texted me last night, Dad, about like some was it CFO job or like finance job available at his work. Like, hey, send me a LinkedIn. And I was like, hey, Chris, this means a lot that you would think you would offer me this role, but I'm really not good at that. And I was joking. I was like, obviously, everyone knows, like, I'm not administrative. You either do it or don't. And if you don't do it, I'm going to be bummed. And if you do it, I'm going to be very proud. And but how do you, I don't even remember the original aspect of this question. Okay, for this, how do you move so quickly being so creative and working on so many different projects? Because one of the biggest things that I have a problem with you is that you work on, right now you probably have 12 to 15 different things that you're working on. Right? That's roughly Yeah. And that's kind of counting your book that you just finished, but that's been like a 6-month process.
Except now I've gotten back the next draft. So now I'm editing the next draft.
Yeah. But like, that's a great example because you have that and you only spend like 2 months writing it or physically writing it. You've been writing it in your head for a while, but then that lasts for like 6 months, but you have probably 6-7 other projects like that are just like stop and go, super heavy. And then nothing happens for 6 weeks because you're waiting on a response or you're waiting on a feedback and so how do you manage that stop and go lifestyle? But really, how do you harness this ability to be so functionally effective? Because what I find is that when things are slow, I'm getting into trouble. I'm bored. I'm ruining my life. I'm, whatever. I'm getting anxious. And then when things are too heavy, I'm like having a freak out. I'm having a meltdown. Like, what's going on? And I do feel like I've found like a plateau in that roller coaster of emotions, but you really work on, my biggest feedback to you is like, how do you do it? Like, I only want to work on 3 of your projects. I don't want to work on 9.
Well, I think
how do you manage it emotionally?
Yeah. It can be really tough. So I don't want to say it's always easy. But
I don't know, you make it look pretty easy.
But I can't say like, for some reason, like work is never a source of stress for me. I can't ever think of a time in my life where the work product is to stress me. I'm always stressed by people. And so if I can manage my people stress, I feel like I have unlimited potential. And And so what I found about workflow is I have the potential of being a terrible procrastinator. Mm-hmm. It's the journey in between when I know I got to do it, when I start, that's actually the battle. Mm-hmm. Because once let's say writing, once I start writing, it's hard work. At first, it's, it just takes force of energy, but then it moves into flow, and then it moves into joy. And then I'm like, oh, I can't believe I get to do this.
Yeah.
The hard part of writing is sitting down. It's like just disciplining myself to go, I'm going to the back house and I'm going to sit at that computer and I'm going to start. That's a part of me that feels super lazy. Like the feeling of laziness is right before I have to say, go. And I have to fight that feeling. And then what I try to remind myself, I just love completion. I mean, I love proving it could be done. I love proving that I can make this really good. And so I just keep like celebrating small wins. When I finish a chapter, I just celebrate. I finish that chapter.
You'll call me. Hey, buddy, I just finished chapter 5.
Yeah.
I'm like, amazing. How long's this book? 12. I'm like, call me later. But I don't know how to celebrate the small wins. I can for other people. How do I do it for myself?
Yeah, people who don't celebrate the small ones don't usually get to the big one.
Oh, you said people, but what you're saying is Aaron. And shut up, Austin, with that little eyebrow raise.
That one hit me too.
I'm just messing with you. For all the people listening, I love Austin. He's sitting right next to me.
The big win is too heavy for all of us. And so you have to like celebrate the small wins. And so I celebrate when I finish a page, and then I celebrate when I finish a chapter. And and sometimes I break it down to words. Like every day I'll send a note, to Elisa, say, how many words did I get written? Because my computer doesn't tell me. She has to add them up every day and send it to me. And I just know how many words. And if I'm working on another project, even what like the 7 frequencies, it was really you, Aaron, who challenged me and said, can you create a 15-minute free product for people that we can give away? And
then you came back with like the Bible of communication, the New Testament.
But that's
like, okay,
exactly right.
Well, we can't give this away for free. We got to sell it
because you gave me a problem to solve or an opportunity to create by saying, hey, we need a 15 to 30 minute giveaway. Right. And, and so in my mind, I'm like going, well, I don't want to give people away trash. You know me, I'm not going to ever give you something that's like second rate.
No.
And so when I started thinking about what's the 15-minute gift I could give to the world, I started thinking about what's the greatest thing I could create right now. And that's where the 7 frequencies came from.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times what happens is people think, oh, he's taking on this like massive, gigantic challenge. It's really not. I'm just trying to provide the smallest thing. And then because I'm committed to doing the best work I can, it ends up becoming something bigger.
Right.
Which to me is exciting.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Like I think it's super, super unique. And that's when I got the contact back for 7 frequencies, I was like, oh no, this is another 3 or 4 hours. Like this isn't 15 minutes. But I felt like I found our next product for Art of Communication. I think it's not a free one, but I think it's kind of a free one because I was like, maybe you can't do this one because I think you've already done it. Like, what are all the things that I've begged you to tell me over a lifetime of how to, like, the quick route, the how to speak for dummies, how to communicate for dummies, but like what, and I was thinking this because a lot of different courses and master classes will offer, if you don't 10x your business in the first 30 days, we'll give you the 10 grand back, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we don't really have that because it's like, okay, we taught you how to speak better and how to really like organize your thoughts and also to have an ideology, to see the world in a unique way. We're not always the practical people, although I find the 7 frequencies to be very practical and Art of Comedy very practical. But I'm like, how do we do this? If we were to go, how to effectively change and shift your communication ability from day 1 to day 30, how would we do it? All right. And I don't want you to tell me right now. I think I have some things, but I think that's the session that we do in the beginning of next year. And I think we should offer whatever the thing. I think we should give it away. Give that.
All right. So what is again? How to what?
So how to speak better in 30 days. How to communicate more effectively within 30 days. Because all these people do these like 30 days or less. Like, we'll give you all your money back. I'm like, I'm not giving your money back. Like, you're in or you're out. Either like, because you have to you got to choose. You got to choose in or out. You got to red pill, blue pill it. But like, if we were to do something like, hey, how to communicate better? Because I know all the little things that you have taught me to do over time, like little OCD tricks and little like effective things. Where it's like, you know, the practical things. You know, we got to do that. I think that's the next thing.
Wow, that would be a great 30-day journey, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would be good. 30-day journey.
You know, it's funny because 40 years ago, when I first started trying to teach people how to have conversations with strangers, and I literally had a process that I would use, and week 1 was just going up to say hello to people.
Oh, wow.
And I said, all I want you to do for week 1 is just say hello.
Oh,
and
catch me dead saying hi to a stranger.
No, you know, just like when you go shopping. No, natural. No. When you get coffee, like you know, when you order your cappuccino, just saying hi, and then I'd say to people, or now for next week, I just want you to say thank you to people, and literally, I'm just getting them to do the smallest thing, and then because I was trying to add a spiritual dimension to it, I said, okay, this week, the third week, I just want you to go, thank you so much, God bless you.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, like they were terrified. They would come back and tell me, I couldn't say God bless you. I said, but you would say that anytime someone sneezes. It's like, it's just generic.
It's so funny.
It's just the moment you know there are spiritual implications behind it, you can't say the phrase.
Yeah.
And so I think there is like a way of doing a 30-day process that would help people take on basic skills to communicate effectively in life.
Yeah.
But I think some of it too is recognizing that there's some kind of like disconnection that happens between our brain and our mouth. And it's almost like we know what we want to say, then we can't get it out of our mouths clearly.
Oh my gosh. I am the biggest example of fumbling the bag in conversations. I was at my friend's house the other day with 2 other guys, and I'm like, what? I can't even speak English. What am I saying? I'm like, my head is in so like La La Land half the time.
Right. But I think that there's also like a journey from the front of the head from the back of the head to the front of the head.
For me?
Yeah, because see, if you don't know what you want to say, there's no way you can say it clearly. And so you have to go through the process first of clarifying to yourself, what is it that I'm actually trying to say? Because you can't clarify how you're going to say it until you clarify what you want to say. So that's a part of like the journey. You have to do the elevator, journey from the inside of your head to what am I really trying to say? And then how do I want to say it?
Okay. One last question.
Okay.
Because I have another idea.
All right.
Because we've like me and you brainstorm all of the time. We're always like, what if we did this? What if we do this? What if we do this? What if we do this? And we were talking about, I think a while back, we're like, I had said this thing, like, what if we create some kind of app where people where pastors and like communicators, like this was more for the church, can subscribe? Because the big issue with pastors is, I think it's how do you speak on the same 66 books for 52 weeks a year? And most people aren't speaking 52 weeks a year, but if you're a youth guy, you might be speaking 52 weeks a year because you might not have any help. You might just be the only guy. If you're the main pastor of a small, medium-sized church, you might not have any help. I'm convinced that's why people have guest speakers. It's just like, good God, give me a break. Like, let me just not talk for one Sunday. You love talking, but I'm sure there were weeks where you're like, again? I gotta do this again?
Absolutely.
But you're kind of an idea guy. You can come up with something out of nothing all the time. But I had talked about, like, what if we did something in January? We did like a free like online thing, and we just gave 12 ideas for 12 messages.
I love
2023. That. Like, just, I don't know. Just.
I think that's a great idea. We should do that.
And keep it vague. Like, here's the verse. Here's the title, theme. Here's where you put some life stuff, and here's what this is the point you should try to make.
That's pretty cool. I love that.
I don't know.
Hey, man,
I'm not speaking anymore, so it doesn't help me, but.
Well, you never know what the future holds.
Oh, I do. I do have. Are we done?
Now, say we're at the end of the year.
Yes, we are.
And we're about to launch into 2023.
Tres.
Wow. That's incredible.
23.
Yeah. We're almost in a new year. And so let's wrap up this year really, really well. If you listen to Battle Ready, let me encourage you to find some organization, whether it's your church or some nonprofit, where you make a really big, generous end of year gift.
Yeah.
And if you're a follower of Jesus, then do that through your local church or Mosaic. If
you're not a follower of Jesus and you follow this podcast, go be generous.
Yes. Be generous.
Church,
give somewhere.
Give to an organization. And
there's some really good ones. There's Charity Water. There's Habitat for Humanity. There's just a lot of great places you can give. There's no excuse to not be generous. So if you follow Battle Ready, man, join us this Christmas. Be generous, give big, and help people do good around the world. There's a lot of people who literally sacrifice their lives to make the world better. And when we give to those organizations, when we give through the church, we're actually partnering with them to do the good that we aren't necessarily doing ourselves in our own personal time.
It's a great place to land the plane. We are so grateful for every single person who listens and watches the podcast. We're so grateful for our Patreon. We have not forsaken you. We have some exciting stuff that we are cooking up. It's just been a crazy end of the year, so hang in there with us. When this episode comes out, we hope you enjoy the weekend and enjoy the day, and we will be back next week, the brand new episode. And I believe we're releasing the episode from London that we filmed in London with Al Gordon on the Patreon this week. So that's exciting.
That's awesome.
And it's just fun. It's just fun. I love doing this. I love doing life together with you, Dad.
Oh, you too, buddy. Hey, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all you guys.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends listening.
And Austin, one day, I hope you will get a real tree.
And one day, Austin, I'm going to drop off a little tree. Just a little.
Love it.
All right.
Bye,
guys. See you next week.